We'd like to welcome you to our Young Listeners Concert educational presentation this morning. My name is Dan. I am the president of the board for the symphony, and I also play trumpet. We'd like to welcome everyone who's watching us live streaming on YouTube. So you want to turn around and wave to the camera?
Hi.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're really excited to have all of you here this morning. So what we're going to do today is talk about all of the different, well, some of the instruments that you would see in the orchestra, and then we'll play a little bit for you on each of the instruments, and then we'll play a little bit with everyone who's here today. So as each person comes up, they can introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their instrument and show you some fun stuff, and away we go. First up is Taylor.
Hi guys, my name's Taylor, and I play the
Violin.
violin. That's right. So I'm the concertmaster of the orchestra. Does anyone know what that means? That means I sit closest to the conductor, and the orchestra, before they play, I walk out on stage by myself to tune, well, actually the oboe plays the tuning note, but I get to walk out and signal the oboe to start the tuning note. So the violin is made out of, what do you think?
Wood.
Very good. And then this is called the bow, and it has something really special on it, a certain kind of hair. Does anyone know? You guys already know all the answers. Oh my gosh. You should have brought it with you. You watched a video. Okay, well good. I'm glad. Well, hopefully I still have a couple of things that you don't know. So we have our horse hair here. Doesn't hurt the horse, you just give it a little haircut and clean it up and put it on there. And then we use, does anyone know what this is called? It's kind of like chapstick for your bow, but it's called rosin, and you put it on there and it makes the bow hair stick to your violin, viola, cello, or bass, because we all use that together. So the violin was made all the way back in the 1500s. That was a long time ago. Maybe your parents were alive. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, and it was made in Italy. Does anyone know where Italy is? Maybe on the map. It's over in Europe. So they started making violins in the 1500s, and it really hasn't changed. It looks basically the same. It's a little bit longer now, and the strings used to be made out of cat guts. But now they're made out of metal, so we don't hurt any cats anymore. So I have a question for you. I'm going to play you some music. Does anyone like the movie Frozen?
Me.
Maybe? Oh, not cool anymore. Okay. Have you guys seen it before? Maybe? Thank you. A couple too. You've seen pictures of it. Okay. Well, this is music from one of the characters, Anna, and she sings a song, and maybe you can recognize it. I'm going to play it for you. What do we do when they're done? But as a full orchestra, we actually all just stand up and we don't individually bow, we just go into it together. So something else fun about the violin is you can also play fiddle music. Does anyone know what that is? Who's heard of a fiddle before? Maybe? It's the exact same instrument as the violin, you just play different music. So I grew up in West Virginia, and there's lots of fiddle music there, so I thought I would play you guys a short fiddle song. You ready? now I'm going to transition into another string instrument, which is just a little bit bigger. Does anyone know what the next biggest string instrument is called? Viola. Very good. So I didn't mention this, but the violin's the highest string instrument, so it plays those high squeaky notes. I better play you one so that you know what I mean. So it plays some of the highest notes in the orchestra. Really, really high.
I actually like that sound. That's a good cat call. They would never be
Actually, yeah, my dog doesn't mind the violin, but some dogs do kind of get weird. They run around. So viola is the next lowest instrument. It's kind of like the middle child of the string orchestra. So we have the violin, which is the highest, the viola is like the middle, and then we have cello and bass, which we actually don't have with us today, so you just have to imagine that. But they keep getting bigger and they keep getting lower. So here's what the viola sounds like. And it has that low string. Could you hear that?
And this is a great sound.
It is a great sound. It's beautiful. Some people think viola sounds kind of like very chocolatey and velvety. So I'm going to play you a short piece written for viola. It's called the Telemann Viola Concerto. The concerto means that you play a solo instrument with an orchestra. But right now it's just me, so there's no orchestra behind me this time, but it will show you what the viola sounds like. The viola sounds a lot lower. Yeah, I think that's what I have for the string family, but I'll be back to play with the full group. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
How do you get it to sound, the violin, how did you get it to sound, but do you play two strings at one time to get that sound?
Oh yeah, like for the fiddle sound?
Yes, for the fiddle.
Yeah, so that's called a double stop, and when you play two strings at once, you can actually play three strings at once. It's a lot harder to play three strings, and then if you have four strings, you have to break it into like 2 and 2. Yeah, but yeah, you can play two together pretty comfortably. Nice, and I forgot one thing actually. We have to talk about where the violin goes in the orchestra. So we have, if you guys can see, I know I'm blocking some of this, the orchestra up there in front of us. Does anyone know where the violin lives in the orchestra?
Right there.
Definitely in the strings, but which side? Right or left?
Right.
Who thinks on the left side? Raise your hand. Who thinks on the right side? Raise your hand. Okay, the left side people were correct. The violins go over here. And the viola is actually, it depends, but usually, like in our orchestra, they go right here, so on the right side. So violins take up this whole spot, violas, cellos, and basses. Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. I'm going to let the next person come on up.
My name is Lynn, and I'm one of the flute players in the orchestra, and this is my flute. You've seen this before. See some nodding, very good, very good. And in the orchestra, I am a woodwind. More to that story in a minute. And there's a group of 4 of us that hang out right in the center of the woodwinds. And it's wonderful because then we can tune to each other really well. Okay, so a flute is made out of
Gold.
ooh, I wish. Oh, in my dreams. No, not quite. We're close. Metal, really good. And this is a silver flute. Some are made from gold, out of my price range. Okay, so a metal flute. Why am I a woodwind? Have you ever played? Oh, you want to go for it?
Were they originally made out of wood?
You are so good. They were originally made out of wood because they were recorders. Oh, I bet we've played recorders before.
I have a recorder at home.
There you go. There you go, I do too. And they were played this way, but now flutes go this way. Long story, but it's an evolution thing, okay? So they were wooden, they went this way, and that's why they're woodwinds. And even now, some people are putting wooden head joints on their metal flutes because it sounds cool. So a flute has some really low notes. That's my lowest note. And it goes higher. That's kind of high enough. Okay, so that's like a little more than 3 octaves. So that's pretty cool. And I have for you a song that you could hear in this show. Where I actually get the melody for a minute. Flutes are known to play a few different characters or a few different styles when they're playing, and one of them is melody. So this is from West Side Story, and if you really like new movies, this is a remake of an older movie. So West Side Story a long time ago would have been Romeo and Juliet, and then Romeo and Juliet turned into West Side Story, and now West Side Story has been remade just recently as another theater production, film production. So here we go. Sometimes play sound effects. When you have that kind of like really high stuff available, then you get to do crazy things. So let me find one of my crazies here. That's not the one I wanted. Here it is. This is from Harry Potter. Okay, yeah, you guys are young. Your parents know who Harry Potter is. And Harry got a new broom called the Nimbus 2000. Okay, and this zooms around, and this is the flute part. This is not the melody, this is the sound effects. For like 2 pages. So, sound effects, very fun. Once in a while, we get to be a character. Peter and the Wolf has Peter, the wolf. The duck, Grandpa. Now I'm thinking hard. Oh, and the bird, of course. And the flute is the bird. And that's the bird fluttering around. Perfect! You warmed up perfectly. So the bird is trying to distract the wolf, so it's flying around, and that's what the flute part sounds like.
And Peter caught the wolf by the tail and got it to the zoo.
Oh, I love this. You can tell the story. Honestly. All right, so, but even though I don't play it in this symphony this time, the flute has a friend known as piccolo, and you can see it's very short, and even though I rival Taylor in the highest note available, okay? So piccolo, this one's made from wood. They're also made from metal, and believe it or not, plastic. Marching band, right? Okay? So this is my lowest note. Oh, it's so low I can't get it. There we go. And I'll go as high as we can. Okay, high enough. It's like, whoa! That's when my dogs go upstairs. Enough, Mom. Okay? And let's see. Piccolos tend to play things that are sparkly and kind of fun. I bet you have heard this song called Stars and Stripes Forever. I won't do all of that. I think just enough. You play two keys next door to each other really fast. That's what I'm doing. Really fun. Another special effect piccolos do. And that's when you're playing, which is kind of weird, but it's kind of fun. And just like Taylor, I can play a hornpipe. So sometimes these are things. Okay, she had music from her area, right? From the South, little fiddle tunes. Hornpipes often come like from marching bands and Irish places. Okay, this is one that you may recognize. That would have been played on a fife, Heritage Hill type moment. If you go there, it's that era. This is a hornpipe, which is a dance, by the way. Melody, they play special effects, and they play a lot of character instruments, like from places and styles and history and marches. Okay. Very good. All right.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. I'm here to introduce to you a very special instrument that I've played since I was in 4th grade. So as old as some of you, maybe a little older. This is called the oboe. And the oboe, just like the flute, is a woodwind instrument. Maybe a little more obviously a woodwind instrument, because what do you think that is made out of?
Wood.
Wood! Yes, this one's actually made out of wood. But it also has, it's wood and also another metal as well. Very good. So the keys, which the flute has keys, the oboe has keys and buttons, the clarinet also has keys and buttons, the saxophone has keys and buttons. That's one of the things that makes a woodwind instrument a woodwind. So the oboe, instead of being played horizontally like this, like the flute, it's played vertically like this, kind of like a recorder, if you have one at home, like Lynn said. Yes, I think you might have one too, don't you? And like a whistle sound. Yeah, woodwinds very often sound like a whistle. The oboe has two main parts. This is the actual instrument. I think this is actually the most important part about the oboe. And I want you to find out why. So I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to try and play the oboe without that. Okay, let's see what happens. Not a lot's happening, right? So what this is called is the reed. Many woodwind instruments have a reed. The oboe does, the clarinet does, the saxophone does. This is called a double reed. And what a double reed means is it's actually kind of like two reeds that work together to make sound. Now I'm gonna tell you right now, this sounds a little funny. So if you have sensitive ears, I just want you to know, you might want to get ready. This isn't very loud, but it makes a very special sound. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Sounds a little squeaky, kind of like a dog toy, right? Now what happens when I take this reed and I put it on the oboe, it goes from this little short, tiny little instrument to now this longer instrument, so the sound gets lower. Let's find out what that sounds like. It's a very unique sound, maybe a little unexpected, right? A little shimmery. So this reed and this oboe make that very unique sound. It can play high and it can play low. I'm going to play a little bit low for you first. Lynn had mentioned the piece Peter and the Wolf. She talked about how she was the bird, the flute is the bird. The oboe is the duck, which is about right? The duck plays a very important part in the orchestra and is the only, it's the only animal that actually leaves the situation for a while and comes back at the end. So he has a very important solo. This is the duck. Ooh, sometimes reeds, they make that squeaky sound. I need more water. Your water's over there. One moment. Something about reeds that you need to know is that they need water in order to work. So you can see that I actually have another one of my reeds inside here, getting all warmed up and ready to go. So I'm going to actually dip my reed in there. Without that, it wouldn't make any sound at all. So fun fact. I'm going to try again. Wonderful thing about live music is sometimes it doesn't always go right the first time. So here we go. And the oboe also plays a lot of melodies, much like the flute does. I'm going to take out this. Do any of you know what this particular contraption is called? The music stand. Very good. It holds the music together. There's also these little metal holders on here that help me keep my music together. So I'm going to play you something also from Harry Potter. Lynn had played a little bit from Harry Potter. This shows off some of the range of the instrument. I'm actually going to play the exact same piece that Lynn did, but I'm going to play the melody part. This is when Harry gets on his brand new broomstick and is flying around and learning how to do it. Let's see what it sounds like. Violin and viola had mentioned that the oboe is the instrument that gives the tuning note at the beginning. So you know that the orchestra concert is about to start when you hear this very important note. It's called A, like the letter A. Let's see what that sounds like from me. Just one note, and you hold it for a very long time so that all of the instruments can see how their note sounds compared to mine. Sometimes I play it more than once, maybe twice. Maybe 4 times. Maybe when you go to the concert, you'll see how long I play it for. Last but not least, the oboe has a very special cousin instrument called the English horn. Now, I don't have an English horn right now, but I'll kind of visualize it for you. The oboe is this long, right? The English horn is just a little bit longer. Real quick, somebody, when an instrument is longer, does it play higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower. Very good. The longer the instrument, generally the lower it plays. And my good friend Giorgio is going to be playing the English horn at our concert, so you'll be listening for that. I know we're taking questions at the end. Is there anything I missed, presenters? I think that's it.
Oh, yeah. Why does the orchestra tune to the oboe?
That's a good question. So the oboe is very consistent and it's very loud. It's able to be heard by everybody. So this very unique sound that it makes can be heard throughout the whole orchestra. So I think that's the main reason. Sometimes the clarinet tunes an orchestra or a band, but in our case we use the oboe. So I think we're getting more at the end. So that's it from me. I believe our next presenter is Paul with percussion. Very different.
Hello, my name is Paul, and occasionally I play percussion, and it is true that it is very different from all of the other instruments, and it's super fun to play, and I recommend it to anyone who's interested, but just be warned, it's heavy, and there's a lot of it, and you have to carry it everywhere you play. And there's a lot of little things to remember because each little part of it is a different instrument. Another cool thing or interesting thing about drums or percussion is that it's not like other instruments where they play a long note. They can play a long note with all the other instruments playing a huge note together and it sounds lovely for a long time. But all we get in percussion is this. That's it. You just get one shot. It makes that one noise at that one instant. It doesn't last very long. It just plays it once. And you have to be spot on or else everyone in the orchestra turns around and goes, but there's tricks. Some of them can have longer notes like a xylophone or a marimba. Those things can last a little longer. But if you're playing a drum and you want it to last longer, you have to use a trick. You can play it as fast as you can, or you can make the stick bounce on the head. That's just one stick. But if I do that over and over really fast, I can trick you into thinking I'm playing a long note when I'm just playing a bunch of little tiny notes really fast. And you can do it faster and faster. So that's how you make a little note sound like a long one. Now, the other cool thing in percussion is you get to play with a lot of toys. Like this is a cabasa. And it doesn't look like much, but it makes a really cool sound. And it's easy to play, but just like any instrument, to play it really well, you really have to be paying attention. You have to be right on with everyone else. So even though it's easy to make a noise, to play it well takes a little bit of practice because you can't be wrong. You have to just keep going at the right tempo too, or else everyone else in the orchestra gets mad at you. So that's how the cabasa works. And I'm going to have you guys help. I'm going to have you play the cabasa. You just hold it on the bottom, and you put your hand on the bead parts, and then you turn the handle. Can you do that? There you go. Now hold the stick on the bottom. Put your hand there, and now turn this hand. That's it. Now keep going. Ooh, excellent. You're better than I am. While you're doing that, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. Now, if we're going the same tempo, you can tell. It's called a groove. You get to use words like that when you're a drummer. You groove with everyone else. And we're going to do that. Do you think you could do this? Do you think you could shake it just like that? Give it a try. Just yeah, that's it. Now you get the groove on. That's it. That's a groove! Yeah. Did you hear the groove happen? That's what's super fun about playing drums or percussion. There's so many different things to play, so many toys and ways to make it sound cool, and we get to sit way in back. Right back here. There's tons of cool things in the orchestra, and the neat thing about getting a demonstration like this is when you show up to the concert, you're going to say, ah, that's the groove. Oh my gosh, there's the duck. Oh, I'm hearing the violins go now. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you all at the concert coming up in a week and change, right? All right. Well, thanks so much for being here, and I'll pass it along to the next person.
All right. Who knows what this is called? Oh, man, you guys are so good. Now, it's interesting because Most of the world calls this just a horn, not a French horn, but that's kind of a long story that we won't get into. But how do you think it got its name, horn? Anybody? It kind of sounds like a horn, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I happen to have a real horn with me. It's called a shofar, and it's made out of a ram's horn. And this is what they used thousands of years ago. Somebody picked one up off of the ground and cut the end off and said, hey, maybe I can blow in that and make a noise. Now this is really hard to get the sound, so I may have to try a couple times, but let me just see if I can make a sound on it. It's a pretty loud sound, isn't it? And if any of you know the story from the Bible of the Battle of Jericho, have you ever heard of that? This is the instrument that they used when they surrounded the city, blew it, and then the walls came tumbling down. So this is the shofar.
Because of the sound waves.
Because of the sound waves, exactly right.
Too many sound waves.
Too many sound waves, yeah, that's what I always say. All right, I'm going to ask, how do you think I make a sound on a horn? How do I do that? What do I have to do? What? So if I blow it, does that make sound?
No.
Oh, okay, so what do you think? What else do I have to do? You have to blow, though. You do have to blow. What else do I have to do to press buttons? But you do have to press the buttons.
Put your hand up the end.
Put your hand at the end. We're getting there. Yeah.
Go really hard. Well, like, kind of like the
That's, we won't even get into that rabbit hole. But what has to happen is I have to buzz my lips like this.
Oh, yeah.
Like this, and so if I just buzz in my mouthpiece, this is what it sounds like. Kind of sounds like almost like a duck, right? But when I put the mouthpiece in the horn, it makes a nice sound, sort of a nice sound. I have what's that? Oh no, that's okay. I don't think you're going to want to hear that. That's some kind of icky. That's okay. If it's too small of a room to do that. Now I have people ask me this a lot, and if you look at this horn, you'll see that, I mean, it looks really complicated, right? I mean, there's tubes all over the place. A lot of people ask me, well, how long would it be if I stretched it out, if I could just take it and unbend the tube? Anybody have an idea about how long it would be? Take a guess.
20 feet?
20 feet is a good guess. It's not quite 20 feet. Anybody else have a guess?
30 feet?
Oh, it's a little bit less than 20. So
I know.
Oh, what?
100 billion.
Okay. Let's try one more here. One more. Okay, it's about 16 feet, which is pretty long. Now let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to need a volunteer. Who wants to help me with this? Anybody? Okay, how about you? Can you hold that? That's okay. And then can you stand up and walk? Let's walk this way, okay? Can you just keep walking that way? And I'm going to go like this. Look at this. If I stretched my horn out, it would be this long. Yeah, stand right there. Now watch what else I can do. You can even play it. So who knew that you could get a horn at the hardware store? I just went to a student at the hardware store and put a funnel on the end of it. You do have to have a mouthpiece, so. Oops, my bell fell off. Don't want to dent it. Well, I'll let you guys hold it, and then we'll have to go on to something else. But you guys, can you hold the bell? Yeah, right. So here we go. And it's nice because you could curl it up, and then it doesn't take so much room. It's not perfect, but you get the idea, right? Yeah. So, from the animal horn, which was thousands of years ago, we have the modern horn, which is This particular instrument probably started to look like this in about the mid-1700s. And then they added valves in the mid-1900s. Actually, even a little before that. But the valves actually helped me get more of the notes. If I didn't have the valves, I could play these notes. But the valves actually helped me get more notes in between. So that's how that works. The horns. Gotta find my horn here. Sit in the back with the brass section right there. And so we're just in front of the percussion, and we usually hate sitting in front of the percussion because they're so loud. I'm going to just play one little piece for you here. This is from one of the songs that we're going to play at the concert. It's from a movie, and tell me if you can, tell me what the name of the movie is. Okay? All right. Very good. That's my presentation, and I think Dan is going to have something to talk about the performance.
Well, hello again. I'm back. All right. So like I said earlier, I play trumpet in the orchestra in addition to doing technology stuff. So this is the trumpet, and it is a member of the brass family, just like the horn that Andy showed you. It's a shorter instrument than the horn, so do you think it plays higher or lower?
Higher.
If you said higher, you are correct. And it works exactly like the same way as the horn, so I have a mouthpiece, and I make that sound, and when I put it into the instrument, I make that kind of sound. I have valves on my trumpet, which work very similar to the valves that Andy has on his horn. If I had a trumpet and it had no valves at all, do you know what that would be called? It's like a double Jeopardy trivia question. What do you think? Yes, it would be called a bugle. And you may have heard bugle calls. One of the most famous is taps. So I can leave my right arm at home if I had to play that. And bugle calls are not always slow, sometimes. Things that trumpet players get to do, probably more than most of the rest of the brass players, is we get to stick things in the end of our horn to change the way that it sounds. Yes, whoever said it's a mute, you are correct. And it's interesting because when you think about, like if you're at home and you mute your TV, it turns the sound off. Well, a mute in a brass instrument doesn't turn the sound off, it just changes kind of the way it sounds. So, some of the ones that I get to use, this is called a straight mute, and kind of sticks in the end, and it changes the sound to be something like this.
That's a donation.
Like it could be. And then I have this one that's called a cup mute, because it kind of looks like a cup. Maybe you got like pour coffee in there or something. That kind of changes that. Then I have this one, it's called a harmon mute, and I can use this in two different ways. I can play it with this little thing called a stem inside of it. Or I can take this little stem out of it And then it sounds kind of like this. Gives it kind of a more of a buzzy sound. And then I can take this, which is an actual plunger. This, kind of like Andy's hose and funnel that he had in his horn, this came straight from the store. This was not used. But you can use it. And you'll hear a lot of these different mutes used more in jazz than in orchestral music. All right. So, when you come to see the orchestra in our concert next week, you'll notice, so Taylor's up here. Remember she said earlier that the violins take this entire section over here. It's because there are about 7 million of them in the orchestra. And so there are first violin parts and second violin parts. So I think we have 13 people playing the first violin part, and they're all playing the same notes at the same time. And we have about 13 people playing the second violin part, and they all play the same notes at the same time. There are a grand total of 3 trumpet players, and we're all playing our own notes. Why do you think we might need a zillion violins and only 3 trumpets? What do you think?
Trumpets are loud and violins are quiet.
You are absolutely correct. The trumpet can play much, much louder than the violins. And in many cases, like in the movie music we're playing, you'll hear some of the big melodies. Let me see. I didn't come prepared, so let me see if I can make this work. I'm going to play not towards anyone so that I don't hurt anybody's ears. So that's the start. All right. Any questions about the trumpet? Sure.
It's about something about sound.
Sure.
You can set out fires with sound.
You can turn out. I have yet to put out a fire with my instrument, but maybe I will practice that before the concert. Yes.
Can we play the instruments afterwards?
Probably not, because it's not. We'd have to like sanitize them and get them all clean, so nobody risks getting sick. So probably not today. All right. Awesome. I think we're gonna talk a little bit about the conductor.
Okay.
I should. All right. Thanks, everybody.
So, I'm the conductor of the orchestra. So, as you saw, there are lots of string players and wooden players and percussion players and brass players. But there's only one conductor. Why is that?
Yes. Orchestra! There's 2 conductors that might not be on the same page. And,
Right. Like you and I have a different thought going on here, different things, different speed, and when to stop, when to start. So very good answer. So it only needs one conductor, and I get to be the center right here in front of everybody. So what does the conductor do? I just kind of said something, but yes. Yes, exactly. But what is it exactly conducting? Yes.
Directing the music.
Directing the music, and how? Huh? Conducting a train with full of people. Yes, because I have to gather everybody between 50 and 80 people into one thought so that they can be united. And they can start when I start, they can stop when I stop, or they can go faster when I go faster. And I can also, they only have, I have, this is a bigger score. sometimes it gets more complicated than this. But whereas individual players' part have this. So they don't have to turn the page as many times as I do. And also, but the disadvantage of having just this is they don't know what's going on in the other section. They only have their part, whereas I have everyone's part. So I can see what they're doing. And so I'm like a traffic cop, so that in the intersection, okay, you go here, you go over there, you go when to go. So I direct that traffic. So I want to explain to you how I make it faster or slow. All the kids, would you mind standing up? Not adults, just kids. Okay, so we're gonna sing Twinkle Twinkle, okay? So can we sing Twinkle Twinkle? I will start you. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Good. That was just a sample. Now we're gonna really do it, and can you follow me? Actually, you can kind of stomp your feet by the beat. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Good. Now let's go with my beat. I'm gonna conduct you. You can walk like this. We're gonna start from the beginning. Never know what kind of speed I'm gonna go with, right? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Up the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. That's how you just learned how to follow the conductor. Now, I want you to sing that and really sing it. Can you sing it loud? Really loud? Okay, here we go. Okay. Hold on. Good, you stopped. Okay, let's try it one more time. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, loud. How I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Very nice, very nice. Okay, have a seat.
What a good conductor.
You guys are super, and I'm so excited to see you next Friday morning, right? You guys are coming in the morning? So I think it's going to be super fun. And you get to stomp your feet, you get to say some words during the concert, so I'm very excited about that. Any questions? Yes?
Aside from conducting, do you play an instrument as well, or several instruments? Or?
Well, I played very little of violin. I learned a little bit, and I tried to learn other instruments, but I only squeak. So, not that well. I let these experts do it. I play piano, though. Yeah. Anything else? Yes?
Can I play the piano?
Later, after we are all done with it. So, now what we are going to do is we're going to all play together and show you what it sounds like when we have several people playing music. Oh, I didn't get to show you this. This is the baton that conductor carries and direct the music with. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, okay? All right, but not necessarily I'm gonna have this all the time.
All right, while we're getting organized, so we're going to play a section of one of the pieces you'll hear on the concert next week, which is from the musical and movie West Side Story. this morning. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a safe drive home. You'll see all of us and many of our friends and many other instruments on stage when we see you next Friday morning for our morning concert. So thanks so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you very much.